Hey guys, I'm out here in sunny South Florida as per usual, and today I have the all-new 2021 Kia Seltos. Huge thanks to my peeps over at Kia for loaning me this Seltos for the week. Today we are going to go for a drive review, so let's take it for a spin. Now I do have a slew of videos covering the 2021 Kia Seltos, so if you want to know more information about this vehicle, be sure to click in the upper right hand corner of your screen. Also down below in the description box I have a blog post where I wrote about the Seltos, so if you want to have a written version of this, be sure to check that out. But today we are going to focus on the driving dynamics of the 2021 Kia Seltos, so let's pop open the hood. To open up the hood, once you have it popped open here, just locate your Kia logo, put your hand underneath, push to the left and lift up your hood. So your hood is going to have a decent weight to it. It's not going to be the lightest hood, and the main reason for that is going to be because it does not have struts inside of here. It actually has a prop rod here, so you have to pull up the hood, pull up the prop rod, and if it's hot outside like it is today, you might burn your hands like how I just did. But honestly, that's a minor gripe. Most competitors in this segment have a hood prop and not hood struts that are hydraulic. But now we have the hood open, so come on in a little bit closer and we'll check out what's under the hood in more detail. For 2021, Kia is going to give you the power of choice with your Seltos, and that's because there are going to be a total of 2 engine options, 2 transmission options, as well as front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. And unlike the majority of competitors out there in the subcompact utility vehicle segment, the Seltos is going to stray away from your typical 2-liter 4-cylinder engine paired to a CVT. But yes, Kia is still going to offer that, but they're also going to offer another engine on top of that. But focusing on that 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that Kia is offering, it is going to produce 146 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. But you have to keep in mind that if you want front-wheel drive, it is only going to be available on that 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, and is only going to be on your entry-level S model. If you go for any higher end trim levels, it will be strictly all-wheel drive, and if you go for your second engine option, it will also be strictly all-wheel drive. Now, as far as the transmission goes inside of that 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, it is going to be hooked up to a CVT, but Kia calls it an IVT, which is their intelligent variable transmission. I was able to test it out inside of the Hyundai Venue earlier this year at a media press event, and it actually performed extremely well. It has very smooth shifts, and it actually feels like a traditional stepped automatic, which is not the case with a lot of other competitors in this subcompact utility vehicle segment. All right, so now let's talk about the second engine option available inside of this vehicle, and that's the engine we have right here. This is going to be the most powerful engine available instead of the Seltos, and it is going to be reserved for your top of the line S Turbo and SX Turbo. This is going to be a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It is going to be gasoline direct injected and mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Horsepower ratings for this vehicle is 175 horsepower. Torque is rated at 195. And as far as horsepower goes inside this vehicle, it's actually going to have slightly less horsepower than something like your Kia Soul, which is going to offer 201 horsepower. So this engine and transmission was definitely tuned specifically for the Seltos. And like I mentioned previously, this engine is only going to come with all-wheel drive. But I actually was able to do some number crunching for you all, and after doing some number crunching, I was actually able to find out that the Seltos actually offers some of the most torque inside of this segment, which is definitely a plus. All right, so as far as weight goes, the Seltos SXT that I have right here with all-wheel drive is going to weigh around 3,300 pounds. And if you go for that base model with the front-wheel drive, it is going to be around 29.5. And as far as fuel efficiency goes, your entry-level S is going to be the most fuel-efficient model, having a combined rating at around 31 miles per gallon, while your all-wheel drive models, if you go for all-wheel drive on that base 2-liter with the CVT, you are going to be looking at 29 miles per gallon combined. And if you go for this turbo model with the all-wheel drive, you're going to be looking at 27 miles per gallon combined. So it's not too drastic of a decrease with this all-wheel drive and the dual clutch turbo setup, but you are going to see noticeable fuel economy drop. And as far as fuel tank capacity goes, it is going to have a 13.2 gallon capacity. So let's go ahead and head out on the road, take it for a spin, and pretty much see how all of these performance and efficiency related technologies work together. Let's go ahead and hop on inside of the Seltos. So let's open up the door and hop right on inside. So to start up the Seltos, you have to just make sure you have your smart key inside of the vehicle. Put your foot on the brake down there, and push this engine start stop button. Your vehicle is going to start up, play a little chime, and you're also going to notice a pretty neat animation in your gauge cluster as well. It's going to say system check, which is super duper awesome. All right, so now let's go ahead and put the vehicle into drive and head off. So Kia gives you this traditional gear selector right here. Just put your foot on the brake and we're off. Alright guys, here we are in the commute section of the driver view. So as far as engine noise, road noise, and wind noise goes, it's actually going to be kept to a minimum. The only noise that I'm really noticing that's like standing out to me is the road noise, and I feel like that's due to the tires on this vehicle. It has 235 width tires, and that's definitely on the wider side of the class. Most competitors are going for more narrow tires to have as little road contact as possible to increase fuel economy. But that was at a lower speed setting. Here we are going a little bit quicker. And once again, I'm not really noticing wind noise. But the main thing that I am going to be noticing is that road noise protruding into the cabin. And as far as vibrations go, you're not really gonna have any vibrations coming in. The steering wheel feels nice and solid. Not really too much pedal vibration either. So if you're going on a longer road trip, you're not gonna have like that weird like numb feeling instead of your foot. It just has a very smooth and easy driving characteristic to it, which I'm actually really surprised about. Sticking on the topic of smoothness, this vehicle has a pretty good suspension as well. Now it's going to be a little bit on the harsh side because it is a bit more of a sport oriented vehicle. I would imagine if you go for the 2-liter model with the CVT, it will be a little bit more of an eco-minded vehicle, but this vehicle is definitely more towards the performance side, and you'll feel it a little bit in the suspension. But that's not to say it's going to beat you up. It actually has a really plush and composed suspension. The average person is probably not going to notice that it's on the harsh side. And as far as the throttle goes and the brake pedal, the throttle is not touchy at all. I mean, you touch it and I mean, it doesn't like jerk you forward or anything. It has a nice smooth linear feel, and the same goes for the brake pedal. We're coming to a stop right now, and you put your foot on the brake. The brake is strong and it comes to a stop. Nice linear feel, doesn't have any awkward grabby points, and if you really want to come to a smooth stop, it's extremely easy to do that inside of this vehicle. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. That's really, really cool. And one thing I wanted to mention is this vehicle has auto start stop functionality. So when you come to a stop, the engine is going to turn off by itself, and you barely even notice it. It's very seamless. You're not going to notice it unless you mention it. The average passenger sitting inside of the vehicle is not going to notice that your engine turned off. But it's definitely a pretty neat feature that is definitely going to help you when it does come to fuel economy inside of this vehicle. All right, so now let's talk about the interior ergonomics and seating comfort. So as far as the overall ergonomics go, you have your touchscreen right here. This is a 10.25-inch touchscreen, and it's mounted nice and high on your dashboard. So that's definitely really, really helpful. You could just pinch and swipe, really, really easy to have right up here and not lower. You have to like look down. It has a nice line of sight. So let's say you're looking at the car in front of you and you travel your eyes back down. You're not traveling as far per se if it was down here, but instead Kia puts it up here. So that's really, really easy. And also muscle memory as well. Let's say you're driving down the road. All of your media and audio controls are up here. Climate control is down here. Everything's not mixed together. You basically know where everything is. Now looking at your gauge cluster, the gauge cluster is also nice, clean, and simplistic, which I really like. You have your tachometer on the left, your speedometer on the right, and you also have a digital speed readout in the center there. But unfortunately, you're not gonna have any heads-up display inside of the Seltos. It looks like maybe Kia offers it in another world market because there's an awkward cutout there, but here in the United States, you're not going to get that heads-up display. So as far as seating comfort goes, the seats inside of the Seltos are pretty comfortable. They're a little bit more on the sport performance side. They're a bit more firm, but that's not to say that these are Recaro seats or anything like that, but they're definitely a bit more on the firm side. And these are going to be leatherette seats, and I feel like the overall material on this leatherette is very smooth, but it still has that easy to clean factor to it. This leather is going to only be on the SX turbo trim level. If you go for any of the other trim levels, I believe you're going to get this, but as trim. It's not going to be the full seating surface. They are going to be heated, and only your driver's seat is going to be power adjustable. But unfortunately, when it comes to the passenger, it's only going to be a 4-way motion. So, you know, basically reminding you that you're in the subcompact segment. You're not going to get all of the luxury amenities in the larger SUVs. All right, now at this point in the video, I would truly appreciate it if you could please subscribe to the Driving Be Driven YouTube channel. All right, here we are in the spirited driving section of the video. So now I want to put the gear selector into the optional sport mode. So you have a sport drive mode, but you also have a sport shifting mode. So if you push this off to the left, it's actually going to illuminate in red, which is super duper cool. Plus is going to be up, minus is going to be down. So if you want to shift up, you click up, shift down, you click down. And if you come over here to your gauge cluster, you're going to notice how the numbers change. So right there it says 1. And I'm going to accelerate now, and you're going to notice how it's going to change. So I'm going to shift up, 2, shift up, 3, shift up, 4. And it has these little red knobs right there as well, and that's basically telling you when you should shift. So I really like that as well. Definitely showing how this is a lot more of a performance-oriented vehicle. So there are not going to be any paddle shifters inside of the Kia Seltos, no matter which trim level you go for. Even with this turbocharged engine, surprisingly, Kia decided that you don't need paddle shifters, unfortunately. But I mean, you can still roll your own gears by just coming down here and just pumping it up to 4th gear, pumping it down to 3rd gear, 2nd. Ooh. I mean, it's just so fun. Like, you could really, I mean, even though it's not the most powerful car out there, I mean, I feel like you could definitely get yourself in a little bit of trouble if you get a little bit too carried away sometimes. But it's definitely a performance-oriented vehicle. So if you're one who really likes to have more fun while behind the wheel, you do not have to have that at a sacrifice, because the Seltos is one of the largest offerings in this class, has a modest price tag, good safety features, and it's still fun to drive. I mean, it pretty much checks all the boxes. It's a very well-rounded vehicle. I can't really think of anywhere where it's really slacking a lot to where, I mean, you would like not want to consider it. I feel like this definitely deserves a spot on your list if you are in the market for a subcompact utility vehicle. All right, so we're coming to a stop here, and we're going to accelerate and see how quick it goes. We're going to put the vehicle into sport mode by just clicking right there. We're going to rev the engine just a little bit, and boom. Oh my gosh, wow. This has some really good pickup and go. It's fun to drive. I mean, the torque, I mean, right off the line, it's a little bit slow. It's a little bit lethargic right off the line. But once it shifts into 2nd gear, it pulls and it goes. And the steering is very direct. I mean, you turn it in a direction and it goes. And you don't have too much body roll. It's a very composed, compliant, and responsive vehicle. And as far as safety tech goes inside of the Kia Seltos, Kia actually has a pretty decent amount of safety tech. If you go for that base LX trim level, don't expect to have too much safety tech inside of there. But Kia doesn't skimp as far as the quality of the technology features. You have automatic emergency braking if you go for your S trim level and above. So it's basically standard all across the lineup. And Kia is also going to offer adaptive cruise control on your higher end trim levels. This SX Turbo model is going to have that adaptive cruise control, and it's also going to come with your LED headlights up front. Just more safety features that are not going to be on that base model. Also, one thing that I was noticing a lot is the lane keep assist. It's not overly intrusive, which is definitely really good to have in this type of vehicle. So I mean, let's say you start swerving out of your lane just a little bit, it's not going to come jerking you back over. Instead, it's just going to be a nice subtle tip of the steering wheel telling you, just get back in your lane. And it's also going to give you a little bit of an audible warning as well. So all in all, when it does come to safety tech in this SX Turbo trim level, it's excellent. But if you go for those lower end trim levels, you may be wanting just a little bit more. And as far as visibility goes inside of the Kia Seltos, it's actually really, really good. You have a low belt line, tall roof line. That's a recipe for nice large windows. The same thing is going to be the case up here in the front. You have a nice expansive windshield that's a little bit more on the vertical side, so that once again gives you a bit more of that SUV feel. And up front, your hood also has lots of bulges, so it feels once again more like an SUV. You have more of that high riding upward feel inside of the cabin, and I really like how Kia made this vehicle have that SUV aspect. This definitely feels more SUV-like than a lot of subcompact utility vehicles out there. So as far as rearward visibility goes, you have a rear quarter window. That's a decent size. You're not really gonna be able to see out of that. And then your C-pillar is going to be a little bit on the thick side, but honestly, it's pretty much class competitive. And your rear window is also a good size. Your mirror fills up that rear window perfectly. No complaints about that. I mean, it would be nice if you had some type of parking sensors, so if you were getting close to something, it would tell you. But if you were to go into reverse, your reverse camera is not going to take up this full screen. It's going to be a standard size reverse camera, probably about 7 inches. And over here off onto the right, Kia is going to give you some settings here. So you can make it brighter, or you could add more contrast. So this is basically if you're at nighttime or something and you want to be able to see something around you, you can do that. So that's definitely an added bonus. I don't really see this in too many cars. And center, I believe, is just going to reset everything back to 0. So that's pretty cool. You're also going to have your trajectory here with your distance markers, which is once again pretty typical inside of vehicles. So as far as fuel economy goes, like I mentioned earlier in this review, I was mentioning how this vehicle ranks as far as fuel economy. In real world testing, this vehicle was able to achieve pretty much spot on with the EPA. I was able to get around 25, 26 in the city. But I mean, if you are doing more spirited driving, in my spirited driving section, I mean, I got 18 miles per gallon. So I mean, if you're, have a lead foot, this vehicle is not going to be the most fuel efficient out there. But if you're trying to be a little bit more fuel efficient, let's say you had a normal or smart mode and you weren't flooring it every 5 seconds, then I'm sure you would get even higher than the EPA ratings. And then over on the highway, I didn't get to drive it too much on the highway, but I was able to drive it for a short section. And when I was on the highway, I was able to average closer to 30 miles per gallon. Once again, right there on EPA, it was actually slightly under around 29 miles per gallon. All right, guys, so now let's go ahead and swing back to our analysis grounds and do a quick recap. All right, here we are back at our analysis grounds, and I feel like the Kia Seltos really adds a much needed exuberant life to the somewhat mundane and commuter vibe that most subcompact utility vehicles tend to exude inside of this segment. But let's go ahead and cover the highs as well as lows of this vehicle as far as driving dynamics go. So one thing I really like about the Seltos is the fact that it has a fun to drive and tossable athleticism to it. It has very direct steering, and it definitely lives up to its exterior appearance, which has a very sporty vibe to it. Also, I really like how it has very little body roll around turns, which is not too common amongst SUVs, and I really like how Kia was able to get the best of both worlds with that. And the other thing I really like about this vehicle is the fact that it has a split personality transmission. I really like how the transmission is smooth when you want it, but quick and precise when you need it. Another thing I really like about the Seltos is the fact that it has really good visibility inside of the cabin. You have a low belt line and a high roof line, so your windows are nice and large so you can see out of the cabin from virtually every single angle. Also, I really like the ultra linear brake pedal. I like how the pedal isn't too grabby at first, and when you're coming to a stop, it doesn't grab you and bring you to a stop. It has a nice smooth braking feel, which is honestly pretty difficult to manage with a DCT, but Kia was able to find the perfect pairing for that. Also, I really like the excellent ergonomics for the touchscreen. I feel like it has a perfect height and it's easily reachable. Some things that I feel like Kia could definitely improve on with the Seltos, and these are going to be the lows as far as driving dynamics and driving related things go, and that's the fact that it can be somewhat rough at times as far as the overall ride goes. Another thing I feel like Kia could also address in the future can be the overall road noise inside, and I feel like that's mainly due to the tires. The road noise, it's a little bit on the high side for my liking, so hopefully Kia can refine that in the future by maybe opting for slightly different tire brands or tire types. And one other thing that I feel like Kia definitely needs to fix inside of this Seltos is offer some paddle shifters. And last but not least, I feel like also front wheel drive should be available all across the lineup for those who do not want to pay that extra cost in fuel economy. Well, that's it for this drive review. Comment and tell me what you would like to see in future videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This is Marcus, and thanks for watching Drive and Be Driven. Keep it positive, and I'll see you next time. You can become a Drive and Be Driven driver today. Just simply click the subscribe button, and you will become a part of the Drive and Be Driven circle. Subscribing will allow you to stay up to date with the Drive and Be Driven YouTube channel. Thank you to all of my current Drive and Be Driven drivers for driving me towards my goals and dreams. Stay subscribed for more awesome videos like this one.